Hey guys, my name is Ryan, and welcome to Overwatch Central. So with the Lunar event that came out last night, the new patch went in with the Tviq Breaks Down nerfs, the Reaper buffs, and the changes of course to armor. Instead of us just rounding up exactly what happened, I sat down with Florida Mayhem DPS player Tviq on what exactly is going to change in the game with these changes. Is Guts going to still be strong? So on and so forth. You can find all of Tviq's details in the description below, but without further ado, let's get started and looking at this new patch. So now, Tviq, that we know that the PTR patch that's up at the moment is going to be the first patch of Overwatch League Stage 1. What do you think that means? What do you think is going to happen? A lot of pro players saying that it's going to be like 75% goats. What do you think?
I think they are entirely correct. Goats is still amazing.
It's just going to be goats.
Yeah. Goats is still amazing because that's exactly what everybody's been practicing for like the last 5 months. Or like even, well, almost, but also Ghost is just like it's not gonna be something that is easy to break, because it's like not only does he have a huge snowball potential, but it's also like hard to counter it with any type of composition, just because if you play not goats, then it's very, very little room for error, while if you're playing goats you can make so many errors but you still can get away with it because just how well the composition is just synergized.
Right, so do you think the PTR patch, the buffs and nerfs, did they hit the right notes, do you feel? Like, should there have been different changes in there to try and make goats a lot weaker? Or do you feel like it was the right changes, it's just going to take time for players to get used to it and to work out how to play against goats now?
I definitely think it was in the right direction. Specifically because I think D.Va got like the biggest hit other than Brig. Like, I think they are like on pretty much on the same level of type of like nerf getting like hit on them. I definitely feel like you can play a lot more stuff now. Like you can, for an example, you can play like Mei Sombra and like actually make it work against goats. Obviously it's kind of map dependent though, and if you are playing on defense it might be difficult because they can just swap in spawn, right? But it's also something that's gonna have to take some time before it actually changes the meta, that is. Just because, well, like I was saying earlier, it's just everybody's been playing this for so long, so considering it's just a month until OWL starts, it's gonna take a while before people are like want to get out of their comfort zone and like actually practice something else. Like the original Ghost comp where you just play, you know, Reinhardt and Sand basically. Like the thing about goats is that you can change just one pick in comparison to like let's say you just like play 4 DPS or something. If you just change one pick, then that 4 DPS composition, in which in theory would basically counter goats, then would be counter just because you changed to monkey, and now you're able to like deal with all of the DPSs that is like all over the map.
Can you just sort of explain that real quick? First of all, just why is quad DPS, for those that don't know, a counter to goats? And then why does switching to monkey then counter quad DPS?
Well, I wouldn't exactly say that the 4 DPS, it was something people were running on Route 66 for a while, like specifically in contenders and in China. They were running it just because they didn't want to play goats basically, and you could make it work just because you could like spread out so much on the map and just be annoying. It kind of worked out until people realized you can just swap monkey, because monkey can basically kill all of those DPSs alone, or basically kill one alone and the D.Va kills another one, while the rest of the team just keeps them up and keeps themselves alive. And the DPSs don't have enough time. Essentially, it's just like about tempo. And when you play like with a Reinhardt, it's very like cooldown based tempo. It's kind of like slow, and then it's like really high bursts in like just going fast. But as soon as when you play the monkey, it's like it's just a 4-second tempo on his own, and then the rest of the team is kind of independent of the monkey. So it's just like a very, very high tempo based type of gameplay.
Because Route 66, because it's, you know, really long sight lines, that's why you play the Hanzo, Widowmaker, you can just chip away at distance, right? So we have seen like Ana being mentioned as well as being a hero, that if Goats is falling apart in some capacity because it's being countered, people are switching to Ana. Can you sort of explain that a little bit more? Like, where do people pick Ana and why?
That is just if you play like a composition that is like Pharah, like a very spammy comp, I would say that would be like a good situation to switch to Ana, but I would say Moira would be better than Ana in like a lot of those cases. In like playing like the original Ghost with the Reinhardt, I wouldn't say that Ana really is a good choice to really be picking. Or like if you would try to counter Goats, you would want to like some teams have been trying like to experiment with an Ana, but that is kind of like high risk in a sense, because you live and die by the nade, and it's a 12-second cooldown, if you don't hit it, that you're gonna be almost useless. You have to like stay alive, like as a team, stay alive for 12 seconds, otherwise you're just gonna get run over.
Now, this is very much the higher tier kind of gameplay, what you guys will predominantly be playing over the next couple of months, but what about for everybody else? What do you sort of see happening in like lower ranks, especially with stuff like the Reaper changes, for example? Do you feel that this PTR patch might swing some heroes into like vast popularity, or do you feel like it is just a case of whatever was meta before is going to be meta now?
I mean, in the lower ranks, people kind of just play whatever they feel like, right? And then with Bastion changes, like Bastion is actually ridiculous now. Like he's almost like a sniper. Like he snipes people from a long range with his new changes, which is kind of ridiculous. But I feel like just like in the lower ranks, like I guess Reaper would be like kind of like a thing. Like he could kind of become a thing until you just like get high enough and people realize Diva is a thing. So I'm not really sure. Like it's just like the changes is just gonna make people like want to try all kinds of new stuff. So
now you're a pretty well-known player for sort of playing flexible heroes. Granted, you're not having much luck of being able to play any DPS at the moment. You're basically on Brigitte duty now for Mayhem, really.
Yeah, one trick by the way.
So you're locked in. You're locked in that prison too. So if Goats fell apart, what kind of meta do you see coming back? Because a lot of people have said double snipers potentially. What do you sort of see?
It's really hard to say without like seeing like some sort of change happening. But like it's always kind of like map dependent, and there's still like a couple maps where you still see double sniper with like a Monkey or an Orisa. Like it kind of like depends on the team, I guess. But there's still a couple of maps where you still see double snipers. There's still some maps where you see like a different version of dive, where sometimes you play like a Genji Sombra, or you just like play the Monkey Goats basically. Like it's kind of hard to say, but I definitely think the very original dive with Tracer Genji, like it's always kind of there. If there's not a Brig in the game, there's a very likely chance, or like if Brig just keeps getting nerfed until the point where dive might just be useful again, I think dive is gonna like start dominating the meta, sort of. Possibly until people figure out how to play like a double sniper of some sort on certain maps, and to like a degree of like Goats dominance.
Do you feel it's that black and white then? That if it's not a tank composition being meta, it's just dive? Is there no in between in that case?
I mean, dive is a 2-2 compositions where it's like a balanced version of Overwatch, where you have tanks, you have DPS, and you have support. And whatever it's like specifically exactly the Tracer Genji, or like a Tracer Sombra, or like a Tracer Soldier, I'm not really sure, because that would like be depending on a lot of different changes and maps, obviously. But I wouldn't exactly say that it is like black and white just like that, but it's just the core nature of dive, which is the Tracer Genji basically. It's just like high mechanical skill, and if you're really mechanically skilled, you can like kind of just brute force your way. Not saying that it's like gonna be like the most dominant for every team, but some teams just have that much mechanical skill that you can just brute force it.
That makes sense. We have seen a composition being used sparingly with the Bastion Symmetra Orisa composition. A little bit in the pro scene, but mostly in like ranked ladder. Is there any merit? Is there any chance that we may see this composition, do you think, in Season 1? Or Stage 1 even?
I mean, very possibly. Either as a she strat or as a like very valid strat, just because like with the new change to him, right? he's able to do more damage on a longer range. So that before, like, dive was really his like almost complete counter to just like playing Bastions, just because as long as you could get to him, he would basically die. And in most maps you can always like hide around, like just go along the wall out of his line of sight and just get to him, right? I definitely feel like as long there's definitely ways now with Brig, specifically Brig in the game, you can definitely make Bastion work in certain maps. And as most teams are just playing Ghosts and not so much dive, maybe they would be like having troubles with actually like switching to dive, just because they haven't like played it in several months, so to say.
And that's it for this time. Thank you very much for watching. Again, you can check all of Tviq's stuff in the description below. And thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.